All right, One Foot Down readers, welcome to our March Madness preview show with me. I'm Bobby Norell, one of the editors on One Foot Down, and I'm joined by my colleague, Pat Sullivan, better known as Pat Rick. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Not too bad, not too bad. Just here to discuss, Notre Dame's, path here in March. What did you think yesterday when the brackets were released about Notre Dame's seeding, the region? What were your general thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my initial thought was the seeding was a little rough. Five
Yeah,
seed. Joe Lunardi right before that had said we're going to be a 3 seed, and I'm kind of pessimistic about the selection committee, so I didn't necessarily buy that. But I was thinking 4. I thought we'd played really well in the ACC tournament.
yeah,
Thought we bought ourselves that seed, but um, you know that happens. We got a 5. I was actually pretty happy with the overall draw. I think the West is clearly the weakest region. Gonzaga, they look like a good team, but they haven't been tested. So who really knows? I'm not as scared of them as I am of the other 1 seeds. Um, and you just look at the rest of the teams in Notre Dame's path. I mean, I'm not really afraid of anyone up in the top part of the bracket. The only team that really scares me is Arizona, and even
yeah.
I think they're beatable. But yeah, so overall, I was pretty happy with it. Just not happy with the seed because if you look at that overall ranking of the seedings and how Notre Dame was 19th and we saw like Minnesota was 18th, that was pretty
Yeah,
incorrect.
yeah.
Uh,
I have the same thoughts. I mean, compared to the last 2 years when they made runs to the Elite Eight, I feel like this is a weaker bracket than the last 2 years. If they would have had this bracket 2 years ago with the guys like Grant and Compton, that they would have gone to a Final Four.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, nobody really scares me besides Arizona, and that giving away my pick right now. But I think that's probably where they're going to fall because I mean, they've shown all year they can play with anybody. They played with North Carolina, Duke, beat Florida State twice. So I think they can play and beat Gonzaga. And then, if they get by Princeton, West Virginia, I mean, I feel like there was one of those teams that's a really good regular season team, but their style of play, I don't know if it really translates into March. You know, they don't really have that dog type scorer who's going to go off for 20. I mean, they're going to get most of their points off turnovers and Notre Dame's guards. I mean, Farrell gets a little sloppy, but I still trust Notre Dame's guards. Um, but yeah, I was really shocked about the 5 seed, but I mean, if they're going to give us a 5, I'm glad they put us in this region because they can definitely make another Sweet 16 Elite 8 type run with this bracket. But yeah, we're just shocked that Minnesota was seated in front of them, and then Florida State was a 3 when Notre Dame beat them twice and finished the same in the ACC. But yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I think Arizona is probably would be their uh, biggest obstacle in this region.
Yeah, I mean, so I watched a lot of that the Pac-12 tournament. You probably did too, just because it was like
Yeah,
right after Notre Dame's games. I think a couple of nights in a row.
got to
Uh,
catch Bill Walton.
yeah, that was the main reason. I love Bill Walton. About him, everything he says is hilarious. Still out there. But Lauri Markkinen on Arizona, that dude is. Un-
Yeah,
all I could think while I was watching him was this would be a really tough test for Bonzi, or God forbid if it had to be like Torres or Gavin trying to guard him. I mean that he's tough. He can move. He's huge. He can shoot.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that bottom half of the West. I mean, that's Arizona's for the taking. I feel like is. I mean, I'm not completely. I mean, I was early in the season. I was completely sold on Florida State, but they don't play too well away from Tallahassee. And just seeing Notre Dame play them 3 times now, I think. I mean, I'm not too sold on them,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, Lauri Markkinen's a great player, and then up at the top of Gonzaga, that they have that huge Karnowski. He might be a little tough matchup for Notre Dame. But I mean, Gavin in the ACC tournament and towards the end of the season, I mean, he's really limited. But I mean, he's decent. He does the little things. Let's just say that. I mean,
yeah,
I think he could be met. I'm not saying he's going to shut down the opposing big man, but he can give you serviceable minutes at least. Um, but yeah, I'm overall, I'm pretty happy with Notre Dame's region. So,
Yeah, I
um,
will say one thing that does scare me about Gonzaga. So you mentioned Karnowski or whatever his name is. That guy's
yeah,
awesome. But their backup center, Zach Collins, is everyone keeps talking about him. Apparently, he's a potential lottery pick, and he like barely even plays.
yeah,
They have like two roughly 7 foot guys. That's again, we've shown we can play teams with size, but that's always scary if they have a couple really talented big guys, just because we don't.
yeah. I mean, I think what scares me more than big guys is a guy like Jason Tatum that really no one on Notre Dame doesn't have anyone to match up with a guy like that because
Yeah.
going into the Duke game the other night, I felt Fluger and Visteria they can match up well with Allen and Kennard, but the wild card was going to be Tatum, and as it showed, Notre Dame didn't have anybody to guard him. So, so yeah, but yeah, what do you think Notre Dame's potential with this bracket is?
So I agree with you. I'm of the opinion that Elite Eight is probably. I could see us in Gonzaga if Gonzaga actually is for real.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll lose to West Virginia, but they are very deep.
yeah,
That's definitely a concern. I think, like you said, we'll be able to handle that pressure pretty well. We're kind of their worst nightmare in terms of being able to deal with that. But yeah, so I think I would say I'd be happy with Sweet 16, very happy with Elite Eight, and then if they somehow do Arizona and get to the Final Four, I'm going to Arizona for that.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it sucks just looking back at the past 2 years, and if they could have had a draw like this, I mean, especially with that Connaughton team and
Yep.
Grant, that would have. I mean, that would have been a Final Four for sure. Um, so yeah, let's dive in a little more on Princeton. I mean, I haven't really got to look at much of them. I've looked at it briefly, but looks like they can shoot. They have some pretty good shooters. They obviously have Michiana kid Devin Kennedy went to Marion with Demetrius Jackson. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think they first glance they kind of play a similar style to Notre Dame, where they're not gonna get a ton of points in the paint. They're gonna shoot the three. I think I was reading on hoopmat.com that like 45% of their shots this season have been 3-pointers. So I'll look into it more, but they're going to have to run them off the 3-point line. You know, not let them beat you with a 3-point shot. Yeah, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think kind of what you said, that they're a fairly similar team to Notre Dame, just in that they really take care of the ball. I was just looking up some stats before this, and so Notre Dame's second in the country in fewest turnovers per game. Princeton fifth. So they average 10. We average 9.4. So I mean they're pretty similar in that they take care of the ball. A lot of them can shoot it. They're top 10 in scoring defense, but I think we have to take that with a grain of salt, obviously, because they're playing Ivy League competition
Yeah,
the entire year. But I think they're a solid fundamental team. They probably lack size. I haven't looked too much of their roster. I don't know who their big guys are, but it looks like their best players are all shooters, really. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to have trouble matching up with the athleticism that Notre Dame will have.
yeah. I
But
mean, without a doubt, Notre Dame is the best team they have faced all season or going to face all season. Because I mean, I was looking at their schedule and their non-conference games. I mean, you had BYU, Cal, VCU. I mean those are probably top competition right there for Princeton. Another thing I noticed about them, that pretty veteran laden team. Not too many sophomores and freshmen on this roster. And I think they have like seven seniors,
ooh,
and
wow.
then like 6 juniors. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was saying this last night to my dad. Like, it's unfortunate that Demetrius left here early because we could have had a little Marion matchup here in this first round game with him and Kennedy.
Yeah,
But I mean,
that's your alma mater, right?
yeah, I'm a Marion grad, so I mean, it'll be cool to see another Marion guy playing this game. But obviously, I don't want to see him do well. So, but I mean, I saw him. I watched a little bit of their semifinal Ivy League game, and he looks like he's improved a lot since I saw him at Marion. I mean, granted, he was a freshman when I was a senior, so I only saw him that like 1 year. But looks like he has some pretty good. He's developed his ball handling skills a lot more than it was. But obviously, he can shoot. God, I'm looking at his stat lines right now. He's shooting 14, 15 times a game. So I mean, that guy. I mean, I think Kennedy's going to be the guy you don't want to beat you in this game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's taking 15, 20 shots a game. So, I think Notre Dame it's a good first round matchup for Notre Dame. I don't think it's a team they can take lightly, but which is, I think, good because you don't want to face a team where you blow them out by 20 in the first game and then you stroll into the second round all high on your horse and you lose the second round game. So, but you have any more thoughts?
No, yeah, I agree with that. I think it'll be because I'm thinking back 2 years ago when Notre Dame played Northeastern in that first game of the tournament.
Yeah.
That was way too close. I don't think this will be that close, but it could be similar in that 20 to 30 minutes of that game. Princeton gives us a good game, and then I think we pull away at the end. Just too much Bonzi, too much Beecham.
Yeah. You bring up Beecham. That's a guy. Last year in the ACC tournament, he was rolling in the ACC tournament, and then he carried it over into the NCAA tournament. And right now, he's not. He's been what he has all season, really streaky. I think a lot of Notre Dame's success is going to be dependent on what VJ Beecham you're going to get. Are you going to get the one that goes off for 25 points? You're going to get the guy who goes 1 for 10 and gets 2-3 points. You need your seniors. I've wrote about in basically every single preview, but you need your seniors to step up here in March.
Absolutely, yeah. I really hope they do that because Steve's been kind of the same way. He's kind of come on a little bit in the ACC tourney, but they've been so off. That's every once in a while.
Before that Florida State game, he was shooting terrible from the outside, and then he goes off. What was he, like 5 for 6 from deep or something like that? But like I said the other night too on that tweet, I was like, "Don't let White Steve get hot."
Never let White Steve get hot. He will bury you.
Yeah. So I guess we're running pretty good here. I guess we'll go right into our Final Four picks. National champion. Who are your picks?
Yeah. So my Final Four is. It's not. I guess I only have one seed. So I picked Duke and Arizona, and then Oregon and North Carolina. I struggled with Oregon, and I know you probably don't like that one because that's coming out of Kansas's region, I think.
Yeah.
I really like Kansas. Really love Frank Mason. I like Josh Jackson. I love Devontae Graham. I don't know. They're not a deep team.
Yeah, but I've read. I follow Kansas just as much as I follow Notre Dame, and I think 12 of the last 20 national championship teams have finished 320 or lower in bench minutes. So it's not always the deepest team that wins. In March, your benches you shorten them up and you go with the guys that got you there. So because early in the season, that's why one of the reasons I was so high on Florida State because they were going 11 guys deep, but as I've seen, that doesn't always win. So I guess I'll give you my Final Four, and then we can just go to both our national champions. Everybody is so high on Duke right now, but if you could look at those ACC champion or tournament games, they won them, but the way they won them, they were down in 2 of those games, so North Carolina and Notre Dame. So if a play or a call goes a different way in one of those games, we're not all over them right now. So I'm going with Villanova out of the East, and with you in the West, I think Arizona will be the team, but I think that Notre Dame will be the team that plays in the Elite Eight though, because just like we talked about, the path is there. And then obviously I got to go with Kansas in the Midwest because if they get to Kansas City, that's 40 minutes from Lawrence, so you're gonna have a pretty basically playing a home game.
Yeah.
But you liked Oregon, but what their center, their big man. I forget what is.
I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Boucher.
Yeah,
That made that pick kind of risky, but
yeah. But I mean, I've seen some people taking Louisville, and I mean, not that high in Louis. I mean, Notre Dame could have beat them. So the thing that scares me about that Kansas bracket is that their 8-9 game might be one of the toughest 8-9 games, along with Virginia Tech and Wisconsin. Because if Michigan State wins that game, I mean, Tom Izzo and March. I mean,
scary.
so yeah. And then in the South, I think I had North Carolina coming out of there. Not completely sold on UCLA, and then Kentucky, I'm not completely sold on them either. I mean, besides Malik Monk, I mean, you need to get something out of Fox and Adebayo. But yeah, so that's my Final Four: Villanova, Arizona, Kansas, and Kentucky or North Carolina. So yeah, it's three number ones. It's three. So pretty much chalk there. Who you got for your national champion?
So I had Arizona and North Carolina advancing to the title game, and then I picked Arizona as my champion. I'm all aboard the Lori Mark.
Yeah,
I like that, but him, Alonzo Trier, I like what that team's doing right now.
Yeah, and
I think it's time he busts through.
If they get to the Final Four, I mean, it's in Phoenix. I mean, so you're gonna have a huge Arizona following there. My national championship game, I have a rematch of last year's Elite Eight in the Midwest or East or whatever it was with Villanova and Kansas, and then I think it'll be a damn good game again. Obviously, I'm going to pick Kansas, even though it probably I'll be the kiss of death on that. So
Kansas was one of the other teams I was really thinking about, and I got spooked for some reason. I forget why, and then I decided I shouldn't put him even in my Final Four. now I'm rethinking that too. I guess I have a couple days, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about them is that, I mean, the old saying is guards play in March, and they have two pretty good guards. So
that's true.
I mean, we'll see.
Mason, man, Frank Mason.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah. What other? I mean, I guess we'll go into a little bit more. What other first round matchups you looking forward to seeing?
Ooh, let me look really quick. I think Miami, Michigan State's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
I think Miami's a really fun team to watch. Very athletic, and like you said, Tom Izzo in March. I think he's got something up his sleeve. He's got plenty of talent to work with Miles Bridges and all them. So that'll be a fun one. I think Michigan and Oklahoma State will be interesting too.
That's the one I was going to say, because before the brackets released yesterday, I was like, my two sleeper teams are Oklahoma State and Michigan, and they wound up playing each other. So, I mean, you have some good guards in that game with Derek Walton and Juwan Evans of Oklahoma State. So I think that'll be a very good first round game.
Who'd you pick in that game?
Right now, I have Oklahoma State, but that could easily change by Tuesday or Thursday or Friday, whatever day they play. What are your upset picks in the first round?
Upset picks. So some I have are pretty basic, like Wichita over Dayton. I think everyone's picking that.
Yeah.
Wichita just seems like way too good for a 10 seed. Middle Tennessee, I think everyone's picking that over Minnesota too. I ride with my boy Giddy Potts. He's my hero. He's got the best name in the tournament. What's up with them as well? I've got some 8-9s, but I don't really count those as upsets.
Yeah.
I picked Rhode Island over Creighton. I'm not sold on Creighton without Mo Watson.
Yeah, I think if he would have been healthy all year, they could be much higher than what they are right now.
I agree. Those are probably the big ones.
Yeah,
I have one more. New Mexico State over Baylor. I'm not a fan of Baylor.
Yeah, I mean, I get to see him play because of the Big 12, but yeah, I'm not sold on Scott Drew. He will make some decision that screws it up for him.
Yeah.
I mean, a good regular season team, but until they prove it, I can't trust Scott Drew and Baylor in March. I'm gonna echo a couple of your picks. Middle Tennessee State over Minnesota. I don't even know how much of an upset that is, because I think I saw the point spread was like 3, something like that. just shows that Minnesota shouldn't be a 5 seed.
Nope.
And then two picks in Notre Dame's region to look for: Florida Gulf Coast and Florida State.
Ooh.
Not calling it, but I'm just saying they could give Florida State some fits.
I like that. I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm just not completely sold on Florida State like I was early in the year. And then the other one could potentially be Notre Dame's second round game, Bucknell, West Virginia. West Virginia, they've had a few early exits in the tournament the past couple of years. They were supposed to face Notre Dame last year in the second round game, and they ended up losing to Stephen F. Austin. So
I could definitely see it.
Yeah, kind of like those. And then another one, just because it's Purdue, just because it's Matt Painter, maybe look out for Vermont.
Okay, Catamounts, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not. I picked Purdue to win that first game, but like I said earlier, guards they play in March, and I'm not completely sold on PJ Thompson and Carson Edwards, but I've been wrong before. So, so yeah, you got anything else?
Not much. I mentioned Giddy Potts, so some other awesome names that I found while I was doing some research. New Orleans has a guy named AJ Cheeseman. Like his last name is literally Cheeseman.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I love Sindarius Thornwell's name. It's cool.
Yeah.
He's also a really good player, but that's just a really awesome name. Scoochie Smith. I feel like he's been at Dayton for years, but somehow I don't even know if he must be a senior at this point. I'm hoping.
He was on that team that went to Elite Eight or Sweet 16 a couple years ago.
Yeah, so I think that was like 3 years ago. So he must have been a freshman or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's still around though. There's another guy named Drick Bernstein. So not Rick, but like D at the start of it. So
yeah.
I don't know what. I thought that was great. Also, Florida has a guy named Keith Stone, the same name as the Light mascot. I thought that was great too. There's plenty more. I'm not going to keep naming all these guys, but
yeah. Where's Bonzi? Where does he rank on the list?
Bonzi, Bonzi's got a great first name. The last name leaves a lot to be desired in this.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd make the list, but he wouldn't be like he'd be like an honorable mention, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to ask you about everyone's darling of the tournament, Northwestern. Where do you see him winning the game?
So I struggled with that pick a lot. Because on the one hand, I don't want to pick the darling of the tournament because everyone's probably going to.
Yeah.
Then maybe a lot of people will do the same thing as me and not pick them because of the darling. I don't like picking Vanderbilt. I have like a very strict personal rule that Vanderbilt will lose in the first round.
Yeah.
Every time. So I don't know. I think right now I have Northwestern. I don't feel great about it because this is their first time there. But maybe they're so jacked up they just win anyways. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. What about you? What do you think?
I have them winning that first game just because, like you, I don't really know if Vanderbilt should be there in the first place.
Yeah.
But then it seems like every year the team that shouldn't be there always wins the game. Like last year with Syracuse. I got them winning that first game. I think they're a better team than Vanderbilt, but I don't know if they can stick with Gonzaga. So yeah, it's a neat story, I guess, but I don't see them winning getting to the Sweet 16 or anything like that.
No. Northwestern fans are just happy to be there.
Oh, for sure.
I think no matter what happens, no one's gonna be really disappointed. Good job by them getting there.
If you go on Twitter or you watch ESPN, like Wilbon and Ravel and all those guys are all Northwestern.
Yep. It's obnoxious.
Oh, for sure, definitely. Because it'd be one thing if they were they won the Big Ten and they were a 2 or 3 seed, but hello, you finished 6th in a crappy conference and you're an 8 seed. So
you say it took the worst team in the Big Ten in a while probably for them to make it. So
yeah. No, I guess I have one more thing for you. Every single year it seems like there's a play-in team that they seem like they make a run. Like last year, I forget who the team was last year that won a couple games. But teams in the past have been like VCU, teams like that. You got any of these playing teams that can make a little run?
So let me see. Who are it's Wake and Kansas State in one of them, right? And then who's the other one?
USC, and Providence.
So I think of those four, I'd go with our ACC boys. Wake.
Yeah,
John Collins. That's a player that can carry a team through a couple wins. I think.
yeah,
They're dangerous. If they can beat Kansas State, I can see them making a little run.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. I in that pick, if Wake Forest plays Cincinnati, I'll pick Wake Forest. But if Cincinnati plays Kansas State, I'll go Cincinnati because
Yeah.
it's Bruce Weber. I mean he'll figure just like Scott Drew, he'll do something to screw it up. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go with I think Wake. I mean John Collins, obviously great player, could be a first round pick this season. And then I
Yeah.
kind of like their guards with Bryant Crawford and guys like that. Not complete. Not haven't. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Haven't seen much Pac-12 basketball besides their tournament, so don't know how good USC is. And then Providence. I mean, come on. I mean, not really sold on them either. So,
No.
you got any final takes for us?
Any final takes?
Final
No.
thoughts? Anything?
I'm ready to watch Lauri Markkanen dominate for me.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too bad against Notre Dame. I'd like to see them make the Elite Eight and give them a game. But no, I think it's gonna be a fun tournament because it's so wide open. This is the first time I've never even felt strongly about my pick. But I can see them losing second round possibly. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, this season. I mean, there's not one team that is. So I mean, there's not a 2015 Kentucky team in this tournament. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely wide open. Yeah, I feel pretty much the same way as you. Um, yeah, I'm just ready to get going. Um, guys out there, I mean, make sure to follow us on We'll Foot Down, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. We'll obviously have pregame. We'll have more coverage on Notre Dame's first round matchup with Princeton in the coming days. I believe they're the first game on Thursday.
Yep.
Which kind of sucks because I mean a lot of us will be at work.
Yep.
So, yeah, get ready to go. All right, well, see you later, guys.
See ya.